And that's not me saying that AI is unethical or anything like that. If you've ever taken or studied for one of the CFA exams, you just know that so many of the ethics questions seem so arbitrary that it takes like a soul to try to determine which one thing may have been better or worse than one other thing. And that's sometimes honestly what it feels like the test writers are trying to get you to answer from. Anybody who's been worried that AI is going to replace jobs from the finance field can rest assured, it's not happening. Not anytime soon. A recent academic study tested ChatGPT and GPT-4 in taking everybody's favorite academic exams, the CFA exams, and the AI did not do so well. Now, it's not like the CFA Institute let a computer register for one of their CFA exams and take the real deal, and then the graders graded it, and the GPT-4 got its results back in an email 6 weeks later. That did not happen. But researchers were able to compile a very close resemblance of test questions from mock exams that are publicly available on the internet, upload it into the AI programming tools, and then have them answer as many as they could correctly. And then they took the scores from the AI's tests and compared those to what we can best assume the minimum passing scores based on the average pass rates and candidate responses over the past 5 years, of which I've talked about in detail. The point is that they were able to get a pretty good idea whether or not those AI tools would have passed the level 1 and level 2 exams. And in both cases, actually all 4 cases, the answers were no. Many of the people conducting this study were familiar enough with the CFA exam, some of them being CFA charter holders themselves, that they were able to make their own conclusions about why the AI tools were not able to answer enough questions correct. Just by going through the questions and the incorrect answers given and comparing those to the correct answers that should have been selected, researchers were able to sort of identify what the artificial intelligence was doing wrong and where it was really lacking compared to what a well-qualified or well-prepared CFA candidate may have been able to do. They said that the primary type of question that the tools were getting incorrect were knowledge-based questions. Now that's very vague, so we have to dig into that a little bit. Another description later on in the study said that the AI tools lacked the critical knowledge necessary to make certain distinctions to ultimately find the correct answer when presented with multiple choice options. We can assume that the AI tools were probably answering Gordon growth model questions correctly. Simple algebraic formulas, much of the level 1 exam is comprised of. Some of what the level 1 exam is comprised of, the AI tools really would have no reason to not get those questions correct. But I can certainly think of a handful of economic type questions around different factors that could impact an economy most significantly. And then the big one that sticks out in my mind, everybody's favorite section in the CFA exams, is ethics. I could see ChatGPT having a whole lot of trouble answering the ethical questions correctly. And that's not me saying that AI is unethical or anything like that. If you've ever taken or studied for one of the CFA exams, you just know that so many of the ethics questions seem so arbitrary that it takes like a soul to try to determine which one thing may have been better or worse than one other thing. And that's sometimes honestly what it feels like the test writers are trying to get you to answer from. So I don't know how an AI tool could learn enough or develop enough to answer those type of questions correctly. It'd be interesting to see like the score breakdown by book in the curriculum, but we didn't quite get that. So we can only assume that the lack of critical knowledge applies to any of those sections where human decision making really comes in. A little further down in the report, there was a comment that really threw me off, which was that researchers noted that the level 1 exam is typically harder than the level 2 exam, so they were surprised to see their AI models scoring worse on the level 2 test. Those researchers were obviously people who have not taken any of the CFA exams before, because although statistically the level 1 exam has a lower pass rate, the questions asked on that exam are much easier than that on the level 2 exam. So it makes perfect sense that the AI tools did slightly worse comparatively on level 2 than they did on level 1. Later on, researchers did make the claim, and I thought this was a bit odd. I don't understand AI technology well enough to accurately assess this claim. They made the claim that GPT-4, if tested or prompted enough, probably would be able to pass the level 1 or level 2 exams. And it's worth noting that in these tests, GPT-4 did a lot better than ChatGPT. I think that only makes sense because it's a more advanced version of the tool. But I don't really get what they're saying about it being prompted enough. Maybe it's just the fact that they think giving the tool, feeding those questions into the tool enough times, assuming that you are showing the tool its correct and incorrect responses, it could figure out which ones are right and wrong. That almost makes too much sense that I don't think that's what they could be alluding to. I feel like any basic computer program could, hey, don't answer that one this way, you got that wrong last time. That seems really simplistic. So whatever they mean by had it been prompted enough, it would have a chance of passing. It's worth noting that some researchers think that it could get through level 1 and level 2, but no mention was made towards the level 3 exam, which is still largely essay-based, and I don't know that any researchers would have the AI capabilities yet to test that sort of thing. Maybe they could, but it wasn't a part of this study. Now, to my point earlier on in this video, which was mostly joking, but I guess partly serious, about AI tools not taking finance jobs, we're not all just safe because ChatGPT couldn't pass the CFA exams, okay? There are certainly many analytical modeling tasks or like data scrubbing functions that banking analysts have to do to find and pull a bunch of numbers. There are plenty of tasks in the finance field that can easily be replaced by artificial intelligence, even if these computer programs are not as good of critical thinkers as some of us analysts are at this point. So while this is a light topic, I do seriously believe that there is some valuable information to take away from this if you are a CFA charter holder or an early career finance professional, because this is starting to paint a picture of what the future, and when I say future, I mean maybe the next 5 to 10 years in the finance field may look like. Obviously, AI tools are getting used more and more in industry worldwide, but as it pertains to any function that involves critical thinking, AI tools aren't even getting really tested out yet. So as you think about your career path and your job roles and your job functions, be aware of what may be replaceable and what may not. What functions are you doing that really require you and your human brain to complete, and what functions could GPT-4 be trained on in a matter of 3 days to do quicker than you can? There will only be more and more conversations around these things in the future, so you might want to spend a lot of time thinking about exactly that question. As always, thanks for watching.